right, welcome to the Dales Report. Happy to be joined with the CEO of Red Light Holland, Todd Shapiro. Back to the show. Mr. Shapiro, how are things?
Very good, and you have a very nice profile.
You like that?
I'm just saying, I see everything you're doing, that profile. What's going on, man?
Well,
yeah, thank you for having me.
Yeah, I appreciate this. You know, somebody with a media background understands the set, got to spend a little bit of money, but you like the whole angle now, but got a lot of positive feedback. But how are things with you? Been keeping busy?
Yeah, listen, we're very busy over at Red Light Holland, and it's nonstop. We're keeping the momentum up. We're very excited by not only our future growth trajectory, but everything we're doing currently.
Yeah, it's good. Well, as you know, we had Bruce Linton on earlier this week, and I want to begin with that. In our first interview following the merger announcement to create HighBrid Lab, Bruce is taking credit for the name. But anyway, we spoke with Bruce from the Creso Pharma perspective and why this deal made sense, given that Creso is primarily known for its CB product lines. So from Red Light Holland's perspective, what about this deal excites you?
Everything. And including Bruce coming up with the name, and including Bruce, working through some things, but, projected here and anticipated to come on as the chair of the board of directors. I mean, just huge news if you think about what Bruce has accomplished in his life. So we're very excited about that potential as well. But I mean, ultimately, just to get right into it, if you think of the name hybrid, it sort of gives away exactly what we're looking at doing, a hybrid approach, a hybrid of psychedelics. We're a psychedelics focused company, clearly, while having a farm in the Netherlands, having a distribution company there, and selling product in smart shops and product online. And the hybrid of psychedelics, as I said, what we're doing to cannabis. And Creso Pharma does cannabis very well. Their CBD research is phenomenal. Their R&D, their science, their applied science. I mean, their products are absolutely phenomenal. And they also have a farm. It's a cannabis grow-op. They have it in Halifax. So the hybrid of it all is psychedelics and cannabis, but then it's also recreation and science and R&D. And there are two major pending acquisitions. And again, I'm not a guy who's going to sit here and try to BS anybody because they're still pending. But if these pending acquisitions become actual acquisitions, now you're talking about a company that is psychedelic focused, that is cannabis focused, that is recreationally focused, and also with hallucinics in Halifax, which is CEO Bill Fleming, great guy with Creso Pharma, who was applied for a Canada Health controlled dealer's license, which basically gets you what all these other companies have, the ability to do clinical trials, work with psilocybin, et cetera. And then in Mira, which is in St. Vincent, if we can close on this, we will have the ability potentially again to work with ayahuasca, peyote, psilocybin, MDMA, you name it. So it gives a whole different slew of opportunities and optionality of working in the drug discovery and molecule and compound farm game. So all of it really is a hybrid, and I think we're the first to do it. And I think that if it gets all done the way we think it can, we'll be the best to do it.
That's great. So in addition to what you said, how do you think both companies are stronger together versus, say, one company, like a standalone operating unit?
So first and foremost, I would say what really excites us is Creso's R&D that they've gone into products. You combine that with our branding and our marketing. You think about Red Light Holland products, not only just in the truffle game now, magic truffles, maybe there's other CBD products, maybe there's CBD functional mushroom blend products that come out. So how do we get all their hard work and all their years that they've spent a lot of money, quite frankly, to come up with these great formulas, lozenges and pet health and all this kind of stuff, and then us be able to push those products to be really, truly now focused on revenue generation and becoming an extraordinarily profitable company. That's the goal, as opposed to burning through the money, which, Creso's burned through some money, but they've developed products because of that burn. Now it's time to amplify the sales of those products. And that's my whole goal. That's what I think we do the best. Also, I mean, there's really so much to put in one sort of sentence. And when you ask me a question like, what's so exciting about this? But Creso could never focus on THC opportunities in the United States based on the Australian stock exchange rules, very similar to the Toronto Stock Exchange rules, which you can't touch something that right now is federally illegal. Okay. And the CSE, however, does allow us to pursue those opportunities. So for us, that's definitely going to be a key target, key acquisition opportunities, and something we're looking at. And by the way, I don't know how you feel, Shad, but I personally feel that it is a great time, personally, forget about Red Light Holland, all this stuff, to look at cannabis companies in the States that maybe are a bit undervalued because there was a big, there was a big decline in cannabis. A lot of
100%.
investors got burned. I think we're seeing a new cycle come back into that with this favorable government, with this push for regulation and federally legal approach. And I think it's a great opportunity, not individuals as investing, but I think for companies to seize moments. And that's something we'll look to do.
So yeah, maybe paint the picture, because we all know the American opportunity is massive. I'm trying to re-educate people. Yes, what happened in Canada 5 years ago is 5 years ago. But when we look at some of the balance sheets, some of the revenue that's being generated by these multi-state operators, even operators that are operating in one state, the numbers are astronomical. It's surprising, when I look at the capital markets perspective, it is flat. But I think the reason being is because a lot of people assume that once the Democrats control the Senate, that we would see proper legislation put in place in the first 60 days of the Biden administration, which isn't the case, but it is coming. So when that does, paint the picture. What does that present for you?
Well, it presents great options. I go back to that word optionality. So momentum stocks are always looking for that next opportunity to capitalize on the momentum. So if you think about a hybrid approach, the HighBrid Lab, psychedelics, a bit of a momentum sector right now. We're seeing it. It's high, just came public. A lot of companies are going public. They're trying to capitalize and get shareholder interest because this is sort of just the talked about sector. But now if that slowly shifts into cannabis, well, guess what? We can have that covered as well. Momentum. So I think of things as being cyclical. So if things are cyclical, but we're always staying on top of that circle, I think that gives us the best chance to increase shareholder value while proving out the business plan, while getting products to market, and while obviously getting into revenue generation with the support of applied science and R&D. And that is the goal, meaning it's endless opportunity for us. It seems like big pie in the sky kind of stuff. But if you start to put the pieces of the puzzle together, vertical integration from the start or the bottom, I guess, to the top, whatever way you want to look at it, we're farmers. We have a cannabis farm if we get this merger done. And obviously there's a shareholder vote, a circular that goes out, et cetera, et cetera. Takes a bit of time to do that. So you have a cannabis farm. We have a truffle farm in the Netherlands, in Horst, the Netherlands. It's producing 1 million grams of truffles right now. It's rolling through that product. It's putting it into our own microdose packs. It's also doing wholesale sales for other companies because they don't have the truffles, but they also are trying to sell truffles. So we're supplying for them. Also, we just picked up Happy Caps. We have an 80% ownership in happycaps.ca. And this is more of a smaller gourmet mushroom farm, but also presents itself to put in home grow products that you take at home and buy online or buy through Amazon. And happycaps.ca, you're also getting incredible people. So we're farmers. Now, also, we just recently announced, and this to me is massive. I mean, I don't want to sound overly promotional here, but I just can't believe how, in my opinion, massive it is. We're starting to develop, we're in a non-binding, but obviously want to focus on getting into a definitive, AEM farms in New Brunswick. And what's AEM, you ask? Well, it's partnering with Carlton Mushroom Farms owners and Holborn Mushroom Farms. Combined, those companies right now produce over 13 million pounds of mushrooms for the Canadian market. Mushrooms you'd see in grocery stores, mushrooms you'd see in restaurants. So why do we want to kind of get this dormant facility up and going in New Brunswick? We're working with the best people in the mushroom industry. Not only do they have the know-how and expertise, they have political connections. They have years and years of doing this and understanding margins and distribution. So if psilocybin ever comes into play, of course, we're going to want to be associated with not only people who know how to grow mushrooms in general, but have the ability to work with regulatory frameworks, because there's a lot of still rules and regulations within traditional farming, and they have the political connections and the distribution. So our goal is trying to be ahead of the curve, be proactive, but be revenue generating while we're being proactive to hopefully be set in place the second a psilocybin market opens up. And that's our goal. That's our strategy. And that's what we're pushing for.
It's an attractive thing, a psychedelic company that's going to generate revenue in the short term, because we all know trials and research do take time. You mentioned AEM, otherwise known as Acadian Exotic Mushrooms. You bought a 51% stake in the company. This is consistent with recent developments, which broaden the company's reach into all areas of mycology product chain. So at this stage, like, is Red Light Holland, should it be considered more than just a psychedelic truffles company?
Well, we're psychedelic focused. I'm trying to think of like another voice to any of this in the publicly traded market, at least, that comes out every day and says, we want to provide access to edgy ingredients with results. And we want to do it carefully through education, information, and hopefully being able to track some of that data when people share with us through the iMicro app their experiences. So then we can approach a regulatory board, say in Oregon Measure 109, to say, hey, look what we've learned for consumers. Maybe you can help shape the way the regulatory framework is written based on what we're learning, because we're doing it in a legal market. So we're definitely focused first.
And is that a priority?
Oh, without a doubt. We will never not be the world's first and foremost proud providing access to natural occurring products focused company. I think I said focused one too many times, to the people. We are representing people. You know, Chad, I got to tell you, I get what a lot of the other companies in the sector are doing. I really do. And I think that synthetic forms, if they find some drug discovery and they're bought out by a Johnson & Johnson one day, God bless them, because that means they would be giving back and helping people. But I'll tell you what, while my mother, who's 75 years old, might be more prone to taking a pill rather than, say, a natural truffle, I don't necessarily know that the 20 or 30-year-old is. And is the 20 or 30-year-old who we're catering to going to want to take something that's prescribed thinking, well, Adderall didn't work for me, Ritalin didn't work for me, Ativan didn't work for me. In fact, maybe it deteriorated some of my moods and stuff. Oh, by the way, you know what didn't work for me, or at least for my uncle when he had injury, sadly, at his job? Opioids didn't work for him. So, you know, a lot of people are going against what big pharma and doctors are telling you to do as well. And the other thing, man, and this is where I get really compassionate, is the fact that we often live in a bubble. Okay, we're in a great country here in Canada. A lot of people listening, I'm sure, in a great country in the United States. They forget about third world countries and the ability that, or sorry, the lack of an ability for people to actually get medications, to actually get prescribed medications, to actually even have the time in the day or somewhere near them that there is a doctor there that can talk to them. So what do we want for those people as well? We want everyone on an equitable level to be able to have access to natural occurring products, because if anecdotally they think that it helps them, then we want to be the company to make sure that that message gets through loud and clear, which is why we'll always remain a psychedelics focused company first.
Okay, that's great. Bruce had mentioned he's going to be hands-on more. So fast forward, once the combined identity is formed, I understand you will become its CEO, and Bruce is expected to take on a more active role as non-executive chairman. Is that correct?
Yeah, it's totally correct. And you know, Bruce got to still work through a little bit of hoops here. So it's expected. You know, I want to be very clear. We're always transparent. We're always open. I don't like to sort of mislead anybody. But listen, it's very expected that Bruce will come on. And of course, he's going to take on an active role. You know, what does Bruce do very well? If you think of what Bruce loves to do, it's combine really good people who work hard and good people with great ideas and have innovation and, of course, the drive. And I think that's what he's looking at the HighBrid Lab. He loves folks over on the Creso Pharma side. That's why he's an advisor, to help them. He loves people on the Red Light Holland side. And he's recently introduced me to Will Lay, who's come on as our chief strategist and executive vice president, someone who used to work with Bruce Linton on major mergers. I think the Acreage merger, which is a multi-billion-dollar merger. Will Lay was his right-hand man. So Bruce is trying to put together an incredible team of workers who clearly want to make a difference in this world, not just by providing access and being proud of that message, but of course, increasing shareholder value, increasing revenue generation, and growing a company the way he is so used to doing. Do you think he would lend himself and his name in that type of role to people in general who wouldn't work hard to get to a mission and to get to that vision? This is why it's so great to have Bruce involved. And to be honest, man, he's amazing, but he lets us run our ship. Like, you know, I'm captaining this ship. Will Lay is coming on as a co-captain now. Sarah Hashkes is amazing, who's recently named our CTIO, Chief Technology and Innovation Officer. So the merger itself, and Chad, here I go getting long-winded again. I want to be very clear with people. If you look at the pro forma and the ratio, 0.395, what that basically worked out to with is the fact that Creso Pharma will have approximately 57% of all the shares outstanding, while Red Light Holland's shareholders would remain with 43% of all the shares outstanding. Okay. And if you don't think, though, that all those shares mean that they merge and that all Cresos come to Red Lights, no. 0.395 of a ratio basically means, well, exactly means that if you had 1,000 shares of Creso, you would then end up with 395 shares of Red Light. If you had 100,000, you'd end up with 39,500.
Okay.
So those shares then get merged. What that does is it basically takes the market cap of each company, you add them together, $300+ million market cap, which we still feel is very undervalued to our peers. And then we have the ability to be this hybrid lab, which we spoke of at the beginning, which is not only the psychedelic focus, which I'm so passionate about, but cannabis, which we can do a lot more with, we feel, especially on the sales and marketing side. And then the idea that we are recreational, but focus, hopefully, with these pending acquisitions on the science and R&D. I mean, to us, it's really a perfect marriage coming together, and we're really excited by it. Like, I got to tell you, I'm genuinely just really excited about working hard and growing this company together.
That's good. You had mentioned that you feel like you're undervalued at $300 million market cap. I do want to focus on the investing side of things when it comes to the overall industry. As you're probably aware, investment banks have increasingly begun initiating coverage in the psychedelic space. The latest occurred actually earlier this week with Roth Capital giving Midas Innovations a buy rating of $3 Canadian 12-month price target, which is over 900% increase from its pre-coverage closing price. So saying all this, do you anticipate that obtaining an investment bank coverage will become a high priority for HighBrid Labs once the company is formed?
I can't imagine having a company with Bruce Linton as the chair of the board of directors, not having banks taking a very close look at us and trying to provide coverage and potentially price targets. You know, I can never give a price projections. I can tell you, I think we're undervalued. I can tell you that we're working hard every day to increase shareholder value. But yeah, we have the attention of the banks. Okay. Without a doubt. You know, I get calls almost daily. It'll be interesting, I think, to see what happens in terms of how people take us. Maybe they've already taken us seriously. I mean, look at our volume. I think we're usually the top 4 or 5 volume traded stocks in the psychedelic sector daily. I think there are some days we're even number 2 or 3. So listen, we've definitely caught notice. I think we'll catch on even more.
Do you have some branding strategies in play, you know, towards the back end of the year? And if so, like, have you, I guess, got the plan together, or some ideas that have kind of floated around as to how you can continue to brand, knowing your extensive background in branding and marketing and some of the influencers that you've obviously teamed up with?
Yeah, Happy Caps is a great example of that, by the way. We strategically not only bought Happy Caps because their revenue generation, their home grow kits, their branding exercises, but it's a product that we can really test out on if it works on our marketing strategy. Who likes mushrooms? Who wants to learn more about mushrooms? How do we do that? So is it through social media? Of course it's going to be. You're going to see a lot of boosting of social media posts. You're going to see a lot of really cool stuff we're doing to sell more Happy Caps products. happycaps.ca, by the way. Also, will we do some outdoor advertising? I believe in billboards again. I think people are really going to get back outside. I think people are really going to want to walk around. We've been cooped up for a year, and I think outdoor advertising is key. So yeah, we'll look to outdoor billboards. I'm already looking at one right now, quite candidly. I don't think it's material if I say I'm taking out advertising for Happy Caps. We're going to focus on billboards. So yeah, there's a whole strategy in place for sure.
In the US or Canadian market?
Well, right now we'll do Happy Caps in the Canadian market.
Yeah.
And I think with US, we'll look for opportunities as that comes. And that's the beautiful thing about THC and CBD products in the US. You're allowed to advertise them. We all know in Canada, it's a lot tougher with Bill C-45.
Yeah, makes sense. Appreciate the update. Keep in touch.
Yeah, listen, I'm really grateful for you having me. We go back, man, and you give us a little bit of a voice here, and it means a ton. And everything you're doing, man, is awesome. I say it all the time, seriously. Sorry, when I say a little bit, I don't mean that you don't have a big audience. I'm saying it just, you get me on for 10 minutes. So thank you for allowing us to be a piece of the Dales Report.
All good, brother. Let's keep supporting each other, right? Thanks,
course,
Todd.
Man. You look good. Your set looks good too. Cheers. Okay,
Thanks,
thank you.